Berlin, 1930. Hope collapses among ruins and broken promises. But from the ashes of a defeated nation, a new voice begins to echo. Fierce, magnetic, and dangerous. The man who spoke of redemption would lead the world to destruction. Before the war ignited, history was already burning in silence. Like the video, subscribe and witness how an empire was born from the shadows of despair. Germany in 1918 was wounded, the empire fallen, the army humiliated, and millions cried for bread and dignity. The Treaty of Versailles crushed not only its economy, but also its pride. In the streets, veterans without arms begged for coins, while red flags waved in the wind. Berlin's cold air drifted over a nation without direction, where the past seemed more alive than the future. Amid dust and silence, a promise began to take form, whispering of glory, unity, and vengeance. In smoky halls, a small man with a clipped mustache learned how to shape crowds. His words cut the air like blades, speaking of betrayal, invisible enemies, and a chosen nation. Every applause was a spark, feeding a collective fire. As poverty deepened, the Nazi Party presented itself as the sole bringer of order. Despair was the fuel, hatred, the flame. Berlin began to listen, to believe, and to follow. The streets turned into battlefields between communists and nationalists. Elections no longer brought hope, only fear. The parliament fractured, newspapers lied, and truth itself was molded to fit the crowd's desires. The Weimar Republic trembled under debt, strikes, and broken faith. In the chaos, Hitler's figure grew, and the exhausted nation began to see him as a solution. On February 27, 1933, the Reichstag burned. Flames licked the night sky as sirens howled through Berlin. The fire became the perfect excuse. An invented enemy, a reason to silence all others. In the name of security came censorship. In the name of order, persecution. Within weeks, fear replaced law, and democracy dissolved beneath the sound of marching boots. January 1933, Hitler is appointed chancellor. The streets erupt in banners and torches. The red and black tide rises. Surrounded by generals, businessmen, and opportunists, he promises rebirth. But behind the speeches lie darker plans. Control of minds, bodies, and truth itself. Power, once won by votes, would now be kept through fear. Germany awakens in collective trance. Parades, anthems, films, and oaths forge the myth of the Führer. Millions march, believing in destiny and purity. Children salute. Factories hum again. The army rises. While the world watches, the nation prepares, not for peace, but for war. The worship of one man becomes the engine of the century's greatest tragedy. In 1939, propaganda lights still glowed, but the air already smelled of gunpowder. The camera drifts above a torchlit Germany as the narrator whispers, "The world did not yet know, but the darkness had already begun." Drums fade, crowds disperse. The echo of the march vanishes, the prologue to a coming fire. The silence of the factories was broken by the roar of machines. Metalworks pulsed again, fire and hammers forging new ambition. In the name of defense, Germany was reborn in steel. Marches returned, old uniforms were stitched anew, and the sound of drills replaced debate. The treaty that once bound the nation unraveled in the clatter of iron. Youth was called back to the ranks. Mandatory service molded bodies and minds under one purpose. Parades, oaths, and drills filled the air. The entire nation learned the rhythm of boots and the weight of the helmet. In every home, pride returned, but so did obedience.
Hunt!
sound of marching groups. With folded maps and careful orders, columns advanced westward. The Rhine, witness to centuries, saw new uniforms where once they were forbidden. Step by step, moral boundaries receded, and a nation breathed deeper, convinced that risk had become a right. New stones built grandstands for a watching world. The nation sought to appear orderly, radiant, and invincible, turning sport into a stage. Searchlights swept the skies. Cameras rolled along rails. Image did the work of words. Under applause and flags, politics wore the costume of celebration. Entire cities became showcases. Concrete turned into rhetoric, marble into meaning. Architects measured not only space, but ambition. Berlin dreamed of columns higher than history and avenues wide enough for the future to march through. Form became the servant of will. Borders became open doors. A neighboring people awoke beneath new flags. Engines mixed with applause, and highways turned into symbols. Power crossed mountains, and for the first time, met no resistance. A dream had become territory. While the streets filled with cheers, borders emptied of calm. Speeches became orders. Parades turned to preludes. The machine moved with precision, unstoppable. The world watched and hesitated. Then the borders moved again, no longer with flowers, but with tanks. In the soldiers' eyes, there was discipline, but also silence. The same silence that comes before thunder. The world waited, unaware that time from that moment on would march faster than men.